Business Partner tutorial series. In this tutorial, we'll be looking at setting up and managing doors. This will be a two-part series, and this is part 1 of 2. Everything I say in this tutorial about doors is also relevant to drawer fronts. They work exactly the same way, but we separate them because they can have different cost and/or cost structure. What you're looking at right here is the dashboard, which is where you'll always start when you open the Business Partner. To edit, add, do anything to doors, you would come to Cabinet Setup, and within the Cabinet Setup area you see there are cabinets, doors and drawers, door and drawer profiles, accessories and hardware, trim and moldings, materials, finishes, and labor rates. Today we're going to focus on doors and drawers. Door and drawer profiles are relevant and associated to doors, but we're not going to cover that in this tutorial. So let's go on and get started into the door and drawer database. If you had not done any searches prior, or you had closed the Business Partner since you last did any searches, all of these fields would be empty, these search fields. But every time you come to a database, you'll come first to the list view, which shows all of the doors and drawers typically. But because I was in here a few moments ago, I have some search criteria in here. I was looking for a particular door. If I clear these search criteria by clicking on the red X, one at a time, or I can just come over here and click on the all, and I'm seeing all 113 of 113 doors, drawer fronts, drawer boxes. If I say I only want to see the doors, then my list is going to slim down from 113 to 60 of 113. Now the drawer boxes and the drawer fronts are culled from this list. If I come in here to a material type and say I only want to look at the doors that have a material type of wood B, then you see we're all the way down to 28 of 113. If I want to find a particular door, although this list is short enough for me to just look and say, hey, there's the door I want, the CRP10. But I could and in this case, we do have one oddball here, vendor for polymer, that happens to be and it's a fake door. It's something made up as a test door. But if we came in here and chose Conestoga as the vendor, you see that one goes away. Everything has to have vendor in it. But if I'm looking for a particular door, my list was still long, my type forward search feature will start to narrow down this list as soon as I start typing. So when I hit the C, immediately everything that doesn't start with or have a C in it disappears. As I hit the R, all these still have that, all these still have a P, all these still have a hyphen and a 1. But now a couple dropped when I put the 1 in, and a couple more dropped when I put the 0 in. But now I've narrowed it down to just a few doors. Looks like I'm down to 10, but I see my door, CRP10. Each and every one of these contains CRP10. If I hit any of the other characters, then it would even narrow it down further. So if I hit a 7, you see now I'm down to 2. But I'm actually looking for a CRP10. There's my door. And this is the door we're going to use for our example, or at least the first portion of our example. So this door, in my case, was the most common door that I used in my cabinet shop, the most frequently used door. And what we're looking at here is in reality, 3 databases. So we're looking at the door database, and the door being a CRP10. We're also looking at the material database through a portal right here. In this material database, these are the materials associated with doors. So a door is made up of 2 components. The door itself, the model number, CRP10, CRP10785, just whatever that model number is. And then it's also made up of the material. And you can have one or both of the costs. The costs are, as you see here, either per door or per square feet. And you can use either or both. So you could have just a cost per door, or you could have a cost per square foot, or you can have both. In this case, we have both. Conestoga uses both. We're also seeing a third database here in that we see our profiles specific to this door. These are coming from that door and drawer profile database. And we're associating these profiles to this vendor when we create them, so that we only see, when I click on this list, all of these profiles are only available to Conestoga Door. So I'm not having to look at the profiles for other vendors that I have in here. So the most frequent support call that I get from new users of Business Partner would be, I can't seem to create a door or drawer front. I've created it and I can't see it, or I've created a material and I don't see the door, or vice versa. So this is, it's not real complex. It's fairly simple, but until you get it, you just can't make it work. There's 3 fields here. This name can be anything you want it to be. But the trick is that these 3 fields match in the door database and in the material database. And since we're looking at both databases at once, I can toggle back and forth. So we see that this CRP10 is a category of door, a material type of wood B, and a vendor of Conestoga. If I take this from Conestoga to Decorative Specialties, all of our materials disappear because there is no such thing as a category of door with a material type of wood B for Decorative Specialties. Now, if I change this wood V to something else, it still doesn't help because it's not, this door would be a decorative laminate veneer. So to fix this one, I've got to go back to my wood B, and then I've got to go back to Conestoga, and now you see all of these show up. So if you created a new door and you typed in this field wood-B and you didn't capitalize the W, and you went to the other database, and this is true of the old version but not necessarily the new version, although you can do it. But when we put a material type in either of these 2 databases, it populates a single value list. So when you go to the second component, and you create the door first and then the material, or the material first and then the door, whichever way you do that, when you go to the second component of it, this will be in this list for you to choose. You don't have to type it a second time. In the old version, they were 2 separate lists, so if you had any variation, an extra space or something not capitalized, even though you had the right combination of letters or numbers, you could still have a broken link between the 2. So the real important thing for you to know is that the category, material type, and vendor have to match. So if we come over here and look at the 3/4 hardwood cherry, we see that we have a material type of wood B, and this purpose is the same thing as the category. It should say category. And then vendor of Conestoga. Those 3 things match. So now we're in the material database. We've popped over into the material database, and we're looking at the material details here and the costs here. And again, this one is associated to square footage, where the door is associated to per piece, per door. In this list, this is every door model that utilizes this cherry-B material. If we scroll down, we're seeing our drawer fronts first, but if we scroll down just a little ways, we'll see a door called a CRP10, the door we came from. But we also see all the other doors that utilize this material. So now we've popped back to the other database. So again, a door is made up of 2 components, a material and a door. And the door basically is comprised of the model number. So if you were going to create a new door, and we have a little bit of navigation up here. Remember from prior videos that the hamburger looking icon takes you back to list view, and then if you want to come back to your door, you can just click on it. The X would actually delete this door from the database, so I'm not going to do that. I don't want to delete my CRP10. The search field allows you to search the database, so I could come in here and say, well, I'm looking for something else, and type in some criteria here, just like we did in the list view, and find a particular door if I wanted to move from this door to another. The plus actually means duplicate, so you have 2 pluses kind of laying on top of each other. The plus means create a new door. This means duplicate an existing door. So if I wanted to create a new door that was very similar to the CRP10 door, maybe it's a CRP10-2, which just means the same door with 2 panels, I could come in here and say plus, and then I kind of get a warning saying, are you sure you want to do this? And yes, I do want to duplicate this door. And I'm going to leave this description. When we do this, because you can't have a door with the same description twice. If you tried and said to do that, it wouldn't allow you to do it. So I'm going to leave this duplicate word in here for now, just so we can see this. And we have created a new door called CRP10 duplicate. We also still have, if we go back to our list view, and again our search criteria for CRP10 is still here, so we see the CRP10 and the CRP10 duplicate. So in all duplicated everything. If I were going to edit this door, I would come in here and say, well, but this one is 1270 or something like that. And the material cost would be the same in the Conestoga scenario in most cases. I wouldn't have to create a second material, but in some companies you would. So again, the most important part of this tutorial is understanding that the category, material type, and vendor have to match for you to create a new door and have both components, a material and a door. So let's go ahead and do the hard part now. Let's do the duplicate. And so we're going to create a new door called your door. As soon as you click out of that field, you see my gray button turned green. We just need you to click out of the field to get the option to add the door. And so now we have a new door called Your Door. It needs a category, so we're going to say it's a door. It needs a material type, and I'm going to kind of duplicate what we were doing. I'm going to utilize some of these same things. And I'm going to call this the vendor and in-house. This is a door I'm going to build myself. So I've got a door. The material type would be in-house, and my description is this is your door. And then you can have an internal note. And this internal note might give you some clues about how you priced it or something like that. This is a note that is internal only. No, it'll never print on any of the reports, an estimate or proposal. It's just a note to yourself. Anything about this door that's unique that you want to keep track of. Because I've created an in-house door, I may not see anything in these lists. I actually do in this one, but I don't in this one. And I haven't created any profile specific to me in-house because I utilized the same doors, and I'm going to explain that in video 2, to do both in-house and outsourced. So these are basically, other than that one, they're empty because I haven't added items that have an association of in-house into that database. So let's give this thing a cost. We'll say that it's $10.50 per door, and I have a discount percentage of 5%, and I'm getting a calculated cost because of this discount of $9.98. But we don't have a material yet. What we have to remember is we have a door on the category, would be an in-house. So if we come over to add material, we've already answered those questions for you if you come from here, and we have a material called your material. And again, we've got to click out of this field, and we've kind of given you the instructions about what I was telling you in this video of how this works here. So I've got to click out of the field to get my green Add Material button. Click that, and now I have a material, and it's showing up because these 3 fields match: door, would be, and in-house. So that's the complexity of business partner and doors and drawer fronts. We'll cover pricing structure in the part 2 video. So thanks for watching this video, and up next we'll have setting up and managing doors part 2.